There it goes. Uncle Ron's stuff. Today is a quick review over Apple Ipod Pro 2 hearing assisted iPods. I saw an ad on TV and I didn't really understand it very well, but my wife did, and she said that Apple has integrated a clinical grade hearing aid into their Ipod Pro 2, which I guess is the current version. And that sounded interesting to me because it was on sale at the local Target for like $160, which is unbelievably cheap for any kind of hearing assistance device. And it also serves as a Bluetooth earphone, so I thought I would give it a try. And it was a little difficult to set up. It shouldn't have been, but it required a connection to your iPhone, and then it needed a firmware update and so on and so on. And it's automatic, but it doesn't happen right away. So when you first get it, you have to connect the pods to your Apple phone and then wait a while. And it will eventually then update the firmware and make the hearing assistance, if you want to call it applications or aspects of the iPod, available to you. And once it's updated the firmware to 7 or whatever it currently is, then you'll have a place where you can tap and do a hearing test. And that checks if the room is quiet enough, also whether the earpods fit well in your ears. And I did that, and it came up with a result saying that actually my left ear is not as bad as my right ear, which is interesting because I have tinnitus in both ears, and the tinnitus is worse on my left. So anyway, that gave it some sort of profile. Now, my impression is, from looking at hearing aids over the last year, and I've thought about them, there are just so many available, and I know nothing about the manufacturers or anything else. Beltone or whoever the guy has been around for 1,000,000 years, they're like thousands of dollars. And I just wanted to try before I committed, and at $160, $80, I was willing to do that because they would also serve as iPod connection to Bluetooth earphones. Now, I have really nice noise cancellation earphones, but they're big, and these pods would be better for planes and everything else. So I didn't think I had anything to lose. Now, I did the hearing test, and then on your iPhone is where you can do some adjustments for noise cancellation and other things, but not a lot. You can't really play with the frequency curves like you probably can with more fancy and exotic hearing aids. But this is just the initial release of the hearing assistance on the iPod, so there may be additional features and functions coming. And I found it interesting, and it makes sense that Apple, a big consumer device creator, gets into the hearing aid business. They already got the iPods, the pods, and I noticed recently that Sony has now issued their version of a hearing aid iPod that has Bluetooth, but it's $600. Now, it probably has a lot more functionality. You can change frequency curves and adjust volume easier and so on. And I'm still not real comfortable knowing how to use the switches that are on the side of the iPod to increase volume and so on. The only bad aspect, and I do find that it does provide some level of amplification. It is helpful. I don't know if it's perfect. This is my first time trying a hearing assisted device, other than just a plain old amplifier, which was terrible. It just amplified. The noise level in the background was always terrible. So you have to have noise cancellation. and this does, and a couple different variations of it. I use it at the max noise cancellation, and trying to get voices to come through. Anyway, the battery life is supposed to be about 6 hours. Since I put them on and wear them, 6 hours is, I don't think you really get 6 hours out of them. When you're fully using it in the hearing assisted mode and you have the volume turned up and so on and so on. But that's okay. Normally I'm not going to wear them. It's when people are around and I really do need to hear better that I will be using the pods, and I think they're going to work. Again, I just wanted something to try before I committed to something. These seem to be doing it sufficiently, and they're $180 compared to just about everything else I see that it can be $500, $600, $800, $1,000, $1,500, $1,600, $2,000, which is still like crazy tune to me to be paying that much for hearing assistance these days. And I think it's smart for Apple to get into that business. They already got the pods, you know. And they're good at miniaturizing things. Hearing aids have to have very miniature sort of circuits to fit in your ears. So if you haven't tried a hearing aid and you think you should, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, you can buy the Apple Ipod Pro 2 that has hearing assistance. I think that's what it's called. And for that amount of money, you can give them a try, and that might be your first experience with hearing assistance, and you get an idea what the earbuds feel like in your ears. These are in your ears. These are not over-the-ear things. These are actually buds in your ear, and they do have quite a bit of dongle hanging out the side. From an appearance point of view, they're not totally hidden in your ear, but you see people with iPods in their ears all the time listening to music or whatever. So, you know, Borg, we're all going to be Borg. You're going to have, you know, I'm still having adjusted the fact I need to be carrying my cell phone on my body 24 hours a day. With this device in my ears, I probably will now, especially when I'm in a conversation place or a loud noisy place and I want to hear voices. So give it a try. I think it's worth a try at that price. Target has a 14-day return policy on it. When I first started, and I found out that I only get about 5 hours maybe of use out of a charge, I did question maybe I should just return them. But I think they're working well enough, and they do have the Bluetooth connection, so you can use them as earphones off of your cell phone. And at that price, it's not crazy. Really good noise cancellation headphones will cost you more than that. I have a pair of them that was a gift to me, but they were probably $600, $700 just for the noise and they're really good noise cancellation earphones. But the sound of the iPod, I have to admit, is very good. It is surprisingly very good for such a miniature version of however it is making and producing sound. I normally think of a speaker, but no speaker that I can think of that has paper could possibly reproduce the sound I am hearing in my ears out of those little pods. So anyway, overall, I give the thing a thumbs up review to try. And you got some kind of a return policy on it. If it doesn't work for you, then just take it back. And you'll have a hearing assistance experience of what it's like having them in your ears and whether hearing aids are going to be effective. I'm sure a more expensive hearing aid will have much more tuning capabilities. You can raise certain, amplify certain portions of the audio spectrum. Like voices are in I think they're 3,000 to 6,000 kilohertz range, something like that. Like telephone lines only ever really carried that frequency range because that was what voice carried. if you ever tried to send music over a telephone, you know it sounded like crap. It just didn't work very well. And that's the reason it was narrowed. And hearing aids, I don't see any adjustment on these that you can narrow the range of frequencies that it's amplifying into the human voice. There is an option that says, you know, make it voice priority. That's probably doing some amplification of that little section of the total audio spectrum from 0 kilohertz to like 22 or 3. That's what supposedly the human ear can hear. I think most people don't get much past 16 kilohertz on the high notes and the low notes. I mean, but anyway, enough of this. This is Apple iPod 2 Pro user review. Give them a try. I think it's worthwhile if you're considering hearing assistance at their price with their return policy. You can put them in your ears and give them a try. This is Uncle Ron's stuff, and this is the 6th of December 2024, and baby, it is cold outside. I hope it's helpful to somebody. Bye-bye now. Yep.